Hey guys, so in the course of writing my new cookbook, I've come to the conclusion that I don't really like the pie dough recipe that I have for chicken pot pie. So I'm going to try this dough for the first time on camera, and if I love it, this is going to be in a new book. Welcome to the Bear Pantry Show. If you're looking for authentic Belizean recipes, then you're in the right place. My name is Barbara, and this is Cooking Made Simple. So let's start by making the dough. We're going to need flour, butter, egg, ice water. And the butter is cold and it's salted, so I'm not going to add salt, but if you're using an unsalted butter, add a half a teaspoon of salt, okay? Let's start by putting the flour into my large bowl, and I will put the ingredients below, and this recipe will be in my new book that I'm working on right now. So I've put the butter. Let me go ahead and crack this egg and beat it with a fork. Throw my shell here in the trash. Let me grab a fork and just whisk. Now my butter is diced, okay, into small pieces, but you can use a cheese grater to grate the butter. Now we're going to need 2 tablespoons of water. That's why I'm showing you the tablespoon measurement. Let's break the butter apart. And all I'm doing is pinching the butter into the flour, okay? Takes a little bit of time. Just pinch it in, guys. That's why if you grate it, it'll go quicker. But I just happened to dice this today. Okay, let's add the 1 egg. Let me work this in first before I add the cold water. And it's only a couple of tablespoons of cold water, so let's add 1 at a time. This feels good already. Let me speed it up for you guys so that you don't miss anything. It's coming along nicely. Okay, let's remove it from the bowl. Well, let me clean up all the sides first. And then onto the countertop. Now you can stop at this point and just go clean up your hands, get them washed and dried. I'm taking my ring off, drain out all the rest of the egg that I have here. I'm just going to work it in for a little while. Now I'm going to do this thing called frisé or fraisier. I never look up the correct pronunciation of this word, and it's a French word, but you have to press the dough out and bring it back in. And this is what you do when you do pie doughs, okay? Roll this baby right here. This feels so good. This is such a good dough. Let me get it all off my fingers. Now, a lot of people wear gloves when they do dough. I don't, but I wash my hands and I scrub under my nails. I take all the necessary precaution before everything that's been going on in the world. So press it down and then put it in some parchment paper. I suppose if you don't have any parchment paper, you would do wax paper, but I try to avoid foil for pie dough because I think sometimes it sweats in the fridge, you know. So I put that in the fridge, and now we're going to take care of the meat. This is some ricotta. You can replace this with paprika. This is just the powdered achiote or the annatto. And I'm going to sprinkle some salt. And this is just a boneless, well, I think 2 pieces of boneless, skinless breast. Jada just had some left over that she offered, so. Some black pepper. And I found that I like cayenne. It's really super hot for me, but I still love it. Work all of this in, and I have the breast in big cubes. Okay, I think that's ready. Now over to the skillet. Can you guys see Joe in the background? He's sewing masks. He found a pattern that he loves, and he's cutting them and sewing them as he goes along. We'll see. Just a little bit of oil, a tablespoon or so. And the pan is non-stick, so I could have probably avoided the oil, but Sometimes I just love the flavor. Put the pieces in. Now the easiest way that people make pot pies is they'll get a rotisserie chicken from the store, or maybe they'll make a rotisserie chicken, or they'll bake a chicken and just pick the breast meat apart. But I had this chicken, so I wanted to try it this way. I have some potatoes because the recipe calls for potatoes, and I was just soaking them in some cold water so they wouldn't get black after I peeled them. And now I'm going to go ahead and just cut them up into chunks. Well, not chunks, more like dicing. Tuck your fingers in so you don't get cut, okay guys? Let me check on my pot. Nobody's running camera for me yet today, so I gotta go ahead and move back and forth accordingly. Now add some water to make sure that the chicken cooks, but also to make sure that the potatoes cook, okay? So let me scoop it with this skimmer. Put them all in here. And then I'm going to add more water so that the potatoes can boil. Let me grab a lid, cover it up so it can cook faster. Now I've picked the peas and carrots from this bag. I left these beans behind and the corn behind because I don't think Joshua will like these. So we're going to do a roux, so equal parts of butter and flour. We have onion, the peas and carrots, and this is going to be my secret ingredient, coconut milk. Now I made another dough that I didn't show you guys. So I have 2 pieces. And now the potatoes are fork tender. So now it's time to remove the whole thing from the skillet because I want the broth to be left behind because the recipe calls for chicken broth and I don't use that stuff from a box, so we're making do here. So now put the butter in. And then I'm going to go ahead and let this melt. Okay, now it's time to add the diced onion. And it's half of a medium onion that I have here, okay? Now let this saute until it's tender. Let me go ahead and get the coconut milk open, and don't forget to wash your tins, okay? You guys know that I've been warning you about that since before you know who came to town. Always wash the top of your lid, because when you see rust on it, a lot of the times it's rat pee, okay? So I've added all-purpose flour and then the broth, and I have to stir quickly. So I have Joe running camera for me right now. I've bugged him to get away from his sewing machine. And we just want to stir this really fast, put the milk in. If you don't want to use coconut milk, use heavy cream. And because I'm opting to use the coconut milk instead of heavy cream, I know I'm going to enjoy this meal today. Just putting more water on top of the broth. And that's what you do if it's too thick, alright? Taste it and then adjust it for salt. And maybe even some black pepper, but all I needed was more salt. Then put the meat and the potato, or return the meat and the potato with the peas and the carrots. So this is done. Let's work on the dough again. So I have this large muffin tin here. I've greased it and floured it. That's going to give me 6. I'm doing the second one, but I don't know if I'm going to get enough for more than 6. So this is one dough. It's still too cold, so I'm just going to let it rest and then roll it out. It only needs to rest for like 5 minutes, okay? Roll it out as thin as you can go. Well, not really as thin as you can go. I would say like 1/8 of an inch thick. Measure it for the pan. You can roll it on the rolling pin or just pick it up like this because this dough is so pliable and forgivable. Drop it in like this. This is one method, okay? and then just shove the other tray on top like this. And then it's just a matter of cutting it apart and seating it in the pan, okay? Don't let pie dough scare you guys. You guys can do this. If it's ugly, don't worry. It'll still be edible. I'm just cutting it apart without cutting my tin, and then reseating and making it as pretty as I can. Now this is my second dough, and I'm gonna roll this one out for the lids, okay? Now I have to find a cup that's big enough to get me a large lid for these large pies. I think I have one though. Let's try this one. Let's test it. Yeah, it'll fit. So put some of the filling in, cover it up, and then I'm just going to go ahead and fill the other cavity here. Look at Josh in the background. They just came back from the grocery store. He still has his mask on because he has to wash his hands first. He's washing off all the chocolates that they're going to taste for that one show you would have already seen. Now use a fork to just seal the lid to the sides of the pie. And look, I got 4 more for the other tray. See? Just 4. This is the piece of, let me show you this one first, 6 and then 4. So I got 10. And this is the piece of dough that's left over, so it's not going to be enough to give me more than 10. Let me seal it with a fork and then put some egg wash and then get them into my preheated oven. It's heated at 350. Look at this one in the back. I think this might spill. It's not sealed all the way. I put some water in the extra cavities so they won't burn my pan, okay? So 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 40 minutes, but actually it went for an hour, guys. Joshua and I did a mukbang on it, and these pies were so delicious. Don't they look so flaky? And the filling inside was so spicy and delicious. Now Joshua and I recorded a mukbang video, but I'm not going to put up the video because the camera glitched while recording and it did this constantly. Some type of electronic type static was throughout the entire video. It wasn't just in one little section, because if it was, I was going to put up the video. But because it's throughout the entire video, I'm going to scrap it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video, okay? Bye-bye. The books are here. Take a look at the book cover, guys. So let's take a look at the inside.